Hey guys, so in this video I want to talk to you about what it is to be a chosen one because I'm sure a lot of people may have all kinds of um, images or whatever, their own perceptions. However, I want to tell you exactly my own personal experience, my own personal journey being a chosen one, and how it was and how I found out I was a chosen one. So basically my whole life, ever since I was a child, I would never fit in, no matter where I would go. In my family, I was like different. I was always treated differently. Um, in the kindergarten, at school, anywhere, like the whole time, I would always stand out. But at the same time, like people wouldn't like me. Like people would like me, but they would also not like me, and that was so strange. I would never understand why it is so, and it was, you know, it wasn't exactly easy because you look at all people and people just fit in, like every person, it's like they have their own spot, they are who they are, and I just know I'm not like them. Like I didn't know it in my head. I didn't know I was a chosen one when I was a child, but I would always feel it. I would always feel different, and people would always treat me differently too. So sometimes, um, you know, yeah, and people would treat me differently. So sometimes, like, they would make me stand out and they would really like me, or sometimes they would like completely ignore me and be really, really unfair to me for no reason. And I would be like, wait, why, And to be honest, it was really hard to even have any friends because at first you get along with someone and then they suddenly change. And again, no explanation, like I don't understand why this happens. And so I was betrayed many times by all kinds of people. And even, same as I was talking when I was elevating, but not even just that, like my whole life, this is how it was. And and I would always notice that people also would react differently towards me than they would react to other people. So for example, I am with my classmates and we walk into the room. So these other classmates, they would be treated differently and people would react differently to them than they would to me. And so I would always be different and I wouldn't quite understand why. And I would also always, like I was saying, I would always feel that a lot of people, they would like me, but they would also not like me. They would also kind of try to avoid me or to stay away from me I wouldn't even know why. And I suppose this is because on a certain level people could feel something too, It could be, like I said, that I could see people through, but I don't judge them, right? So I can see that this person is a little bit prideful, but it's like a fact to me. It doesn't mean that I make a judgment about it. It just, well, that's how this person is. That's like, it's just like as simple as that. It's like, I see something laying there. It's just laying there. It doesn't equal this meaning. So like this person is kind of prideful. Well, it equals this person is kind of prideful. It doesn't equal something else. Doesn't equal it's a bad person or something like that, right? So, but I suppose that these people, they could also feel on some level that I can feel them, and maybe it's them, thinking, or I don't know, it's all about them, I would always think there's something about me, like what is with me, but at the end of the day, it's like it's about them. So it's something that people would not like that I see in them. So it's basically what they don't like in themselves, if we put it this way. I would probably just kind of mirror. I would probably just light the parts of them up that they don't like about themselves. Because I personally, I don't mind them being whatever they want to be. It's their choice, right? I mean, of course they have to do right before God, but I'm not God, right? I'm just another human being. So, I mean, I'm not supposed to judge them. Only God can judge us, right? So, that's how it was. And so, this is why I would spend a lot of the time by myself, you know. I would be with people, but I would also be kind of not with them. I would always be kind of set apart. And it wasn't always easy, because a lot of the time I wouldn't feel exactly accepted. I wouldn't feel understood. I wouldn't feel, like I'm, in the right place. I would always feel like I'm out of place. So I would always feel like I'm in this world, but I'm not exactly of this world. I mean, and I don't mean this to sound like I'm saying that I'm better or something. I mean it in the way that I would always feel so different. And I couldn't even explain it. That's the thing. And that's what was hard about it the whole time. I couldn't explain it. And that's why I tried so hard to fit in, at a certain point of my life. And this is when I did a lot of things wrong, because trying to fit in is wrong. Because we're not meant to fit in, if we're not meant to fit in. But anyway, it's a whole different topic. But yes, that's how it was. And so my whole journey in life, I suppose I was guided the whole time. Even though there were things that were not right, I'm not saying I was perfect the whole time, but still. Because people could never really influence me, even if they would try, because something inside of me would be a lot stronger, and I would always, do this intuitive thing every time. And I think that a lot of the time was actually God guiding me without me realizing all these things, and then there was this difficult period of my life where everything I had literally just fell apart. So I was already set apart from the world, but then at the time I was just completely stripped. I was stripped of all the material things that I had. More the relationships and the job, the work thing that I was doing, and I had to go into complete darkness, and this was a very difficult period of my life, and so it was a spiritual awakening for me, in the sense that I realized a lot of things. There's one thing when you are told that we are spiritual beings, but then there's another thing when you literally discover it by yourself. And so when I discovered it by myself, when I because these traumatic things, these dark moments in life, they really trigger these awakenings. And so this is when, and I think this happened to many chosen ones, I got deceived by the new age thing, because I was just there questioning so many things, not having enough answers, and there they were. It's like the devil always knows, when to target you. And so I was looking into the new age for a little bit. I didn't follow it like 100%, but I did follow them a little bit. But then I also know that God was guiding me there as well. And, with this new age, I learned about the chosen one, and that really, really resonated inside of me, like, oh, chosen one. Yeah, there's something with this chosen one, Like, yeah, it sounds right. It was something like that. And then I was just, again, doing my thing. And also, when you are in the dark, you are really close to God, because you really need signs, you really need guidance. And I didn't really have anyone much. Only, I didn't have anyone really. And people that were around me were actually talking me out of things, so they were a little bit useless. I mean, I apologize for using such a word, but that's how they were. And I knew that I cannot listen to them. I have to make it right. And so I was walking with God, really close to God. And so I was still following New Age as well for a little bit. But then eventually a very interesting thing happened, because somehow, like, these New Age people, they were really on the same wave. So they would say things that I would go through at the moment, and that would help me with the guidance a little bit. But then there was one time when they made a mistake, and this is when basically God came to me, and when God really took my hand, basically, really, that's how it felt, and that's how it was. And at that time, the New Age people were trying to tell me that I'm holding on to myself. So, like, hold on to yourself stronger, something like that. It was, I don't even know how this worked. Was it the coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences, but anyway. And I knew for sure that it was God. And so this is where it was the end for the New Agers, really. And so from that point on, it was really God. And this is when I realized that New Age thing was actually a huge deception, and it was God guiding me through it anyway the whole time. He was there with me the whole time anyway, so that's why I wouldn't blindly do everything they would, say. That's why I would only pick certain things, and, but still, doesn't matter. Still, a lot of people get deceived by the New Age, especially, because you wake up spiritually, and, this is when the devil will really try to keep you stuck, right? To keep you from God, but God is there anyway. And so, and then a lot of other chosen ones were talking on YouTube about their experiences, and then a lot of things came clear, and now I'm a lot more clear on what's exactly going on and what exactly we're doing. But that's the thing, it has to be revealed step by step, and I think that's what God was doing the whole time. So even going through this New Age, I believe there were certain things that God was preparing me for as well. At least this is how I see things now. So yeah, but I still don't justify New Age, and I don't condone it, and I don't say that it's good. No, it's a lie. But this also shows how God really does take things that are used against us, and he uses these things for us. And to me, this is like a testimony. He literally used New Age to draw me closer to himself. And that's how amazing God is. Because, it's one thing when you just read the Bible and you think that you know everything, but it's not enough. It's not everything. You need to know God. You need to learn to hear God. It's not always enough, because we need to follow his guidance, right? We need to walk the path, the narrow path with God. Because otherwise we have this religious spirit, right, that is very strictly pushing religious things onto us, but the spirit is not of God, So, yeah. So this is how it is, and it's always people, would always be so, different. Like, they would like you, but they would also hate you at the same time. And this is how it's been the whole time. And I can't even explain this really well, because but yeah. So a lot of things were unfair because of this in my life. A lot of people would be really unfair towards me for no reason. For their own reasons, like jealousy. For their own reasons, like pride. They would be unfair. But somehow God would always work things out the best way anyway. So also teaches us to be patient, right? So I don't want to sound like prideful, because I'm really, really grateful, and I'm really, really humble before God. But yeah, so interesting. And finally, I have explanations of why my life was the way it was, and why people were acting the way they were acting the whole time. It's like, it makes sense. Okay, that's what it is then. And yeah, people would never give me credit, because and they would never want me to see, the good side of myself. They would always want to hide it. They would always want to pretend that I'm not enough, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not this, not that, when in actuality they know that that they can see my potential, they can see things that I can do, and actually they are supposed to give credit. There were moments where people really had to give credit, but they chose not to because they're jealous and proud. And I would of course it's not the same, but I always like this example, when Jesus was raising people from the dead, people were still not convinced that he's the Messiah. So he would heal people, he would perform miracles, he would raise them from the dead, and people were still not convinced that he's the Son of God. Or people would always pick on me as well, So in a similar way, how Jesus rose someone from the dead on Sabbath, and people picked on him because he is saying that, hey, you cannot work on Sabbath. So it's not how it is, right? I mean, it's amazing, like, wow, you performed a miracle, you raised the person from the dead. But no, people choose to see, like, no, you can't work because it's Sabbath, So that's how people are towards chosen ones. That's how people were with me. So it's like literally, if a chosen one invents like a cure for cancer, I heard this somewhere and I thought it's funny. People would still like not give you credit. People would be like, no, that's just like a lucky coincidence. That's how people are with chosen ones, and it's really unfair, and God can see this, and this is why God is so protective of chosen ones. And yeah, because at the end of the day, it's the people who are unfair. They are unfair, and that's the truth, and that's the fact. They're not acting right. They don't have their acts right. And I'm not even judging them, I'm just telling the truth. But people would get offended. But it's the truth. They're not acting right. Why would you be offended by this truth? I mean, it's the truth, right? I'm not telling that you're a bad guy. You're just, well, you kind of are if you think about it. But what I'm really trying to say is that your act is not right and you need to change it. But people don't like to see these things. People would rather get offended, They don't. So, yeah. I hope this video clarifies certain things to you. I hope it gives you things to think about. Hope it helps you see things a little bit differently. That not every person is the same, and to also show you how God works in our lives, and to just give you, a whole different perspective on things, on life, on people. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.